So I wanted to give an update because people have asked kind of about my health, and it's I think it's got a good ending, but it was scary at first. So about mid-March, I had this shooting pain that came in my back and my leg, and it was sciatica, nerve damage. And I went to doctor, acupuncture, dry cupping, needling, chiropractor. I mean, everyone. And, basically it was the worst sciatica they'd ever seen. And it came out of nowhere. The pain was so bad. I remember it was 43 days of pain. I was sleeping in the guest room because I was making so much noise. I was having to take, pills to go to sleep. It was 24/7. It never got better. It loosened up a little bit in the morning when I would sit in the sauna and actually jog a little. It would loosen up. I noticed when I trained jiu-jitsu a little bit, it was a little loose, even though there's things I couldn't do, like get on my back. The worst part was laying down. So I would stand up almost all day, which brings another problem. I've got bad knees. So I felt like I was at a theme park at Disneyland every day. My knees were exhausted. My ankles were exhausted. It sucked. So eventually I went to a doctor and we did an MRI. And what ended up coming out was there was a tumor in my back in between the S4 and S5 in my lower back. And they'd said it'd been there for close to 15 to 20 years based on the size. It was a little bit over the size of a golf ball. And through a fall, I'm sure from fighting, it slipped down into the nerve passageway. And the nerve was feeding it. And the pain was brutal. I don't think I tied my shoelace, put my underwear on, or put my pants on by myself for almost a month and a half. It was awful. So I went to the doctor after the MRI, and he called me and he says, hey, it's normally a 3-month waiting list, but you have to have surgery immediately. You have a tumor. We don't know what it is, and it's pretty scary stuff. And it made me feel good when he said, I can imagine the pain you're in. This is the biggest thing I've seen on someone's back. So it was a little scary. And that was on a Monday, and he says we have to have surgery immediately. So we scheduled it for that Friday. And he told me to get my affairs in order because there was a lot of worst case scenarios. One, he didn't know what this was, and he wouldn't know until he pulled it out if it was cancerous. He said that's a 20% chance. He said there was a 20% chance of them cutting something in my spine, which could cause facial paralysis, it could cause permanent nerve damage in my leg, and could cause paralysis. And then, of course, there's always that 5 to 10% chance where, because it's back surgery, where you could die. You got to sign off on that. And then he said if it was so wedged in and so tight, he'd have to break my back. And that was a bad case scenario. It's 12 to 18 months in a back brace, and I'd never be able to train anything again, especially not fight. So that was scary. So I had a couple days to, work on my life insurance and start thinking about life after, if there is going to be one, and how I would be. And it was scary. My wife and I talked a lot, about what happens afterwards. And I remember one of the last things I did when I was prepping for surgery before they knocked me out is I handed my wife a note, and the note had some instructions of what to do if things didn't work out well for me. It was really sad, and it was an emotional time. So fortunately, I get out of surgery, and the doctor says this is as good as it could have been. Now, the tumor ended up being bigger. It was almost the size of a tennis ball. As soon as I was done with surgery, I literally could touch my toes. Of course, I wasn't supposed to bend, but I knew that nerve pain was 100% gone. And I started the recovery process. And if you know me, I don't really listen to doctors. I trust my body. I was supposed to be in bed rest for 2 weeks, and I didn't do that. The next day, I was on a nerve block and a lot of drugs. So I went to my buddy Ryan's wedding, and I shouldn't have done that because that was extremely painful the next day. And the doctor said he wanted me to be loose and to walk around the house. So in my defiant ways, I didn't walk around the house. I walked around all the houses, and I walked 3.5 miles every day, despite being told out to be on bed rest. He told me I couldn't do any light weights until 2 weeks, and by the third or fourth day, I was doing some decent weight dumbbells. And then he told me I couldn't train jiu-jitsu for 12 weeks. So on the 19th day, I got back on the mats and started training slowly. I'm not trying to be a hero. I knew my body, and I knew that I was meant to recover, and I was going to recover. So things worked out pretty well. At the 3-week post-op visit, my doctor and I got in a shouting match because he was really upset that I wasn't listening to his orders. And I thought he was kidding, and then I realized he wasn't. He was really upset that I was defying Western medicine and I was insulting, the medical community. And I told him he was insulting me and the athletic community. And to put it bluntly, I no-showed the 6 weeks appointment, and I don't have anything to do with that doctor anymore because I thought there should be a mural on the wall of this great recovery, and he didn't appreciate that I'm Wolverine. So I did go to I still go to a physical therapist to try to replace the nerves and let some circulation go that I'm having problems with. But I can say that 43 days after surgery, I competed in a tournament. My first tournament as a black belt, and I win or lose, it didn't matter. I just wanted to get out there. I wanted to prove to myself that I can compete as a black belt, which I've never done before. And that was just this past weekend. And I was fortunate enough to get 4 gold medals in 2 different weight classes, gi and no gi. And I'm still definitely not fully recovered. I'm about 65%. There's still pain in my lower back. And I'm still going through therapy and stuff. But that's the update. What could have been many worst case scenarios, from cancer to a broken back to everything else, ended up being, honestly, a miracle. And I'm truly blessed, not only to have friends and family who cared for me and prayed for me, but I'm blessed from the man upstairs who took care of me. So that's the update. That's where I'm at, and I'm happy to share. That's a good story.